What's up? This is Exotic Sports with another WWE video. This time it's going to be the top 5 best United States champions. I previously talked about the worst. Now it's time to talk about the best. So we're just going to get right into it. Number 5 on my list of best United States champions. And just like the other video, this is only the WWE version. 2003 until now. Number 5 is going to be Booker T. Booker T, off the top of my head, I think he's a 3-time champ, maybe 4. But he also won the the WCW version, so you can't, go on there and just look and see how many times. You have to actually go and, search, how many times he won it under the WWE version. But he beat John Cena in 2004, and he had a memorable reign with it, but he then won it from Chris Benoit the next year in 2005, and as a good guy, babyface, but then he turned heel, and that's when he had his best run, in my opinion, as a heel on SmackDown, the Best of 5 series with Chris Benoit, and then he ended up vacating it and winning it back. So yeah, he was a 3-time champ. He won it back only for a month. The Best of 7. He won the Best of 7, won the title, had it for a month, lost it back to Benoit, and then he never won it again. He went on to win the world title, Booker T, number 5. He was a great United States champion. Memorable feuds with John Cena, Chris Benoit. Even his, he had some really good matches against Orlando Jordan, honestly. So Booker T definitely deserves to be on there. Number 4, I'm going to go with AJ Styles. He's a 3-time United States champion. And every time he won the title, it was memorable. The first time he won it, of course, was the untelevised house show at Madison Square Garden. He beat Kevin Owens for it. Then he actually lost it to Kevin Owens in about 2 weeks later at a pay-per-view Battleground. That actually wasn't supposed to happen. It was a mistake from all accounts. I wasn't, I'm not a part of it, but for what everybody says, it was a mistake. AJ was supposed to retain, but they got caught up in a little roll-up, and the ref had to count 3, and Kevin won it. He won it back from AJ, and it makes sense because literally 2 days later, Kevin defends it in a triple threat against AJ Styles and a returning Chris Jericho, who, of course, Kevin had been in the rivalry with up to that point. And AJ won it back. So I think it's pretty safe to say it was probably an accident, and he was never supposed to lose it in the first place. But AJ then went on to continue his feud with Kevin Owens and then get into a feud with Baron Corbin, where he would eventually lose it to Corbin. He lost it in a triple threat against Baron Corbin and Ty Dillinger at Hell in a Cell 2017. And he didn't win that title again until was it the end? Yeah, it was the end of 2019. No, it was the summer. I'm sorry. He lost it at the end of 2019. The summer of 2019, he turned heel when he joined Raw. He linked up with Gallows and Anderson, and he beat Ricochet for the title. This was his best reign, in my opinion. He was a heel. He had the title. He faced Ricochet, Humberto Carrillo. Oh man, he faced so many people during that time. Can't even remember off the top of my head, but Cedric Alexander. They had a feud. He ended up losing it to Rey Mysterio on an episode of Raw. But nonetheless, AJ Styles was a great U.S. champion. That third reign was also the longest out of his 3. And so, yeah, number 4 on the list is going to be AJ. Number 3, top 5 United States champions, I'm going to go with Chris Benoit. He's just like Booker T. I'm not sure off the top of my head how many times he won it in WWE. But, when I get done talking, I'll probably be able to realize it. Chris Benoit first won the U.S. title he was actually in the finals of the tournament to crown the first WWE US champion, but he lost to Eddie Guerrero. But about 2 years later at SummerSlam, he beat Orlando Jordan for the title, and he won the US title. And he had it for about 3 months. And just a really good reign. He beat guys like Booker T, Orlando Jordan, Christian. He was a good champion. Then he went on to lose it to Booker T, like I said earlier, and then the Best of 7 series happened when they vacated it. Benoit ended up winning it back at No Way Out, like I previously said. Where he finally was able to win it back. That was his second reign. He actually only held it for about a month, because he went on to WrestleMania and he faced JBL for the title and lost it to JBL. And to be honest, I don't know why he lost it to JBL in hindsight, because JBL retired a few months after that match. Of course, he would come back in 07, and he would wrestle till 09, where he would retire again. But he retired for about a year or two around this time, and you just think Chris Benoit would have been the perfect guy to keep the title on, but he lost it to JBL, and then he went on a sabbatical in 06. He took leave of absence. He got beat up by Mark Henry, and he wasn't seen for months. He returned. I'm not sure when he returned exactly. I think it might have been at the No Mercy pay-per-view in October, and he beat William Regal. And it might have been the SmackDown right after. But soon after, he won the U.S. title back, and he beat Mr. Kennedy this time for it. And after that, he went on a feud with Chavo Guerrero. And pretty much, as soon as he got done with Chavo Guerrero, he entered his feud with MVP. And everybody remembers that feud because, well, first of all, it was pretty much Chris Benoit's last feud in WWE before he died. But, he started that feud around January, February with MVP. They had, they had some great matches. Every time they had a match, it got better. They had a WrestleMania match where Chris retained. They had a match at Backlash where Chris retained. But then they had a match at Judgment Day, 07. MVP beat him 2-0 in a 2 out of 3 falls match. MVP won the title, and he held it for a year. And that was the last time Chris Benoit held the title in WWE. He lost it in May of 07. So, yeah, the next month after that, Chris Benoit passed away. So he ended his life as a 3-time WWE U.S. champion. But like I said, he also won the WCW version. Number 2 on the list is the guy I touched on a little bit earlier, MVP. MVP, everybody knows he had that, he beat Benoit and he had the almost year-long reign. And everybody knows about that feud he had with Matt Hardy. It was probably the greatest. It was probably the greatest WWE U.S. title feud of all time, in my opinion. It was just so different from anything you seen back then and anything you see today. They kind of recaptured it with the Viking Raiders and Street Profits. They tried to recapture it, but they weren't able to. MVP and Matt Hardy, they'd have like basketball. They'd have competitions with each other. They played each other in basketball. Pizza eating contest, throwing a football through a tire, push-ups. I think they might have did push-ups. And Matt Hardy would usually, he would be about to win, and MVP would cheat, and MVP would cheat so he wouldn't get embarrassed. Well, they ended up becoming a tag team because MVP didn't want to give Matt Hardy another title match. But they had become a tag team because MVP had told Teddy Long he wanted Deuce and Domino for the tag titles. He said he don't care who his partner is. The next person that walks in this room, he'll tag with, and it happened to be Matt Hardy. They ended up winning the tag titles, and the whole story was MVP's not going to give Matt another U.S. title match. And they ended up, and it was somewhat true for a while, but they ended up holding those tag titles for a few months. They lost him to The Miz and John Morrison on an episode of SmackDown in November. And Matt Hardy actually, I think his appendix busted during that match. Or maybe that was just like what they said on TV. But I know for a fact that he had a bad injury. And they actually sidelined the feud for a while. Because that was November of 2007. Matt Hardy was out till WrestleMania of 2008. So he was out for about, 6 months? MVP then went on to feud with Rey Mysterio over the title, where he retained. Then he went on to feud with Ric Flair. And he was in the Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania 24, and he was about to win it, but Matt Hardy returned and knocked him off the ladder. And then about a month later, Matt Hardy beat him to finally end the feud. It was a great reign. MVP had an amazing reign as U.S. champion. And then he also had a second reign in 2009 when he beat Shelton Benjamin. Wasn't as memorable as the first one, but, him and Shelton Benjamin never had a bad match. And he held it for about 3 months. And he lost it to Kofi Kingston on Raw. And they had a really good match for that. So number 2 will be MVP. Number 1 on the list of best WWE US champions, I don't think it's arguable. It's John Cena. There's just no arguing that. John Cena is a 5-time United States champion. He won it 3 times back in 2004-05, and then he won it twice in 2015. Cena was the first guy the first up-and-coming talent that ever won the U.S. title that springboarded him into the world title scene. It was the first one because he was only the 3rd WWE U.S. champion ever, And yeah, Eddie Guerrero won the title and then went on to be a world champion, but he was already a name. Cena wasn't really a name when he first won it. But, he won it 3 times. He beat Big Show for it at WrestleMania, and then he was stripped of it. And they had a battle royal for it. Booker T ended up winning the battle royal. He beat Booker T in a best-of-7 series to win it back, only to lose it 4 days later on SmackDown to the debuting Carlito. And he lost it to Carlito because he had to go film the Marine movie. So he was going to be out for, about a month and a half. And Carlito held that title for about a month and a half. But Carlito actually broke his arm during one of those matches. So, there was never really like a follow-up feud. Cena kind of just came back and won it. And, Carlito went on to, do whatever he did. But that was the feud where Cena was stabbed in the nightclub in the kidney. It was a storyline, I'll say that. But he won it back, and that run is what springboarded him into the world title scene. Of course, he became the number 1 contender for the WWE title as U.S. champion. And then about 10 years later, after he had, been at the top, Cena had done everything there had been to do. He won the Rumble twice. It was like a 10-time champ at that point. It was like a 15-time champ. But Cena had done it all. And then he got into a feud with Rusev for the U.S. title. And I don't know, man. I just thought it was really cool that he backtracked all the way back, and recaptured that championship. And it was a story behind it. He said, I want this championship to mean something. And he won that title, and he'd go out there every week and have an open challenge. It didn't matter if he was scheduled to face this person at this pay-per-view. Every week he defended it. People that I remember he faced that I actually seen live. I remember Kane, Stardust, I think Neville. Yeah, Neville. Cesaro. Oh man, they had fucking amazing matches every time. But he ended up losing it to Seth Rollins, but he won it back a month later. But then, he was just doing his open challenges, and then he announced he had an open challenge at Hell in a Cell. And there at Hell in a Cell, Alberto Del Rio returned, beat Cena, and Cena never recaptured the U.S. title. And I don't think he will get it again. I think Cena will be a world champion again one day, just to get him over the line and break the record for the most title wins. But I think Cena's time as U.S. champion is over with, and I think he's gonna go down as the greatest United States champion. And that was the top 5 greatest WWE United States champions by Exotic Sports.